Welcome to Living with the Spectrum. I am one of your hosts. I'm Tim.
Yes.
And you're who?
Hi. Welcome with the Spectrum. I am the other host, Denisha. Here, something's going on. Of course, we have a really, a special guest coming up this evening, and everything was going smooth. And hold on, I'm getting some texts. Oh yes, it is time for the show. Thank you. uh, and everything was going good, and we did a test run.
It's about to go smooth. Don't worry about that. Just let them know what's going on.
Hold on, I'm texting her now.
I'm gonna send her another one.
He's gonna I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know how it is. Or if you don't, y'all been with us for a minute. Y'all know sometimes when it's time for us to do what needs to be done, the enemy always comes in.
This is what we're gonna do. My mic is a little short.
Now his mic isn't working.
It's not working. Oh man. Just continue to talk and
okay. There it is.
Here we go. So we're just gonna start with a quick word of prayer real quickly. Father, in Jesus' name, we come to you, Lord God, just asking, Lord God, that Father, that you would carry this show today, this podcast, Lord God, that those that need the help, Lord God, and those that are inquiring to learn more, that Father, that you would guide them and give them wisdom, and Father, give them knowledge, Lord God, about how people that have special needs children feel, or if they're a person with special needs children, lift a burden off of them, Lord God. Give them some wisdom, Lord God. Give them some knowledge. Give them some new information.
Yes.
So we just ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
In Jesus' name, amen.
All right.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and move forward because we were able to get everything back up and running.
Yes.
That's why it's very pertinent and very important to start with prayer. That was the message this morning. Seeking God first.
Yes.
And of course, we don't always throw our Christianity down your throats, but it is very important to us, a huge part of our lives.
Yes.
Okay. So before we bring our special guest on, we met her this year, and she's been such a blessing to our lives. And it was like a no-brainer when it was, time to start asking people to join us. I'm trying to get comfortable, y'all, but then I feel very uncomfortable the way I was sitting. It was like a no-brainer. Tim was like, "Oh, we got to ask Miss Williams to come in." And I was kind of nervous because I don't know, this is new for me, this whole podcast thing. But she was like, absolutely, with no questions asked, nothing. And so I am very grateful. So I'm going to, read a little biography that she gave us to just kind of give you a little background of who she is. And as soon as I'm done with reading that, we're going to bring her out. Her name is Christy Williams. She's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She's a single mother of 4 boys and 2 girls. She started working with children on the autistic spectrum in 2016. She began feeling like the school system wasn't doing enough for the clients that she was seeing, which is a humongous deal. I ain't gonna dissect it because it's some good stuff in here. So she decided to step into education as a paraprofessional to make a difference while still working as a registered behavioral technician and completing her bachelor's degree in psychology. She finished her bachelor's and was offered a position in teaching in 2019. She also has began working on her master's degree in teaching special education. She should be done with her master's in May of 2022. She enjoys what she does, and after trying so many other careers options, she believes that this is the one for her. So that being said, we are going to go ahead and welcome Miss Christy Williams to Living with the Spectrum.
Hey, hi, Miss Williams.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Doing great, great. First of all, thank you so much for joining Living with the Spectrum. It is an honor and a privilege to have you on with us.
Yes.
No problem. I just want to correct. I have 2 boys, 2 girls.
Two
Just
boys,
four
two
kids
girls.
total. Yeah, that's a lot
They
more
were a
than I.
little more than she really had.
Right.
I mean, her cup seemed very full, but hey,
Yeah.
she seems like the type of person that could work in either way. You know what I mean? So four children total, 2 boys, 2 girls. And so what a blessing. So we're gonna go ahead and first of all, if you're just joining, this is Living with the Spectrum. We have a special guest, special needs education teacher, Christy Williams. She is very close to us in our lives because she is, can we say who you are to us?
Well, I mean, basically, she's in the
Education
autistic
system.
community. So
Okay.
we'll just put it like that.
All right.
She's in the community. So we bring these guests out here just to give more information and more insight, because a lot of times we're at home, we're at parents, and we're like, the school's not doing enough, or or we don't see behind the scenes.
Mhm.
So we want to give you the heart of a teacher that's actually in the mix of everything.
Absolutely.
She's actually on the battlefield. So can you give us some information of just tell us a little bit of how you got started.
There you go.
Okay. Actually, I didn't know anything about autism or anything like that until my little cousin was diagnosed with autism.
Okay.
He's now 16. He was diagnosed when he was 2. So
Oh,
about 14 years ago, that was when I first heard about autism. Of course, it was still new to us, so we didn't really understand it. His aunt, and who's also my aunt, she stepped into ABA therapy, and she kind of encouraged me, like, you can, if I can do this, you can do this. But I still, I didn't feel, I guess, worthy enough. But later on, also my best friend, she had 2 boys who were on the spectrum, and I saw her son was nonverbal until he was 4. But every day she would have him watch My Baby Can Read. And so everybody thought she was crazy, but once he started talking, he never stopped talking. So just
Wow.
seeing it, just seeing that it can actually happen.
wow, that's awesome. A lot of times, a lot of people see people that are close to them, and they don't really take the time to learn about how they could, help, or what they could do, or any of that. So just the fact that you saw it and it was something that piqued your interest, it was already pre-planned. You know what I'm saying? Predestined. God was like, okay, this person is gonna be who I need. That's gonna help my, the children or whatever. So that's a blessing. I appreciate that.
I myself am blown away about the babies can read. My baby can read. A lot of times we don't look at these extracurricular activities, but her cousin, you said your cousin had the faith to believe that her child was gonna read regardless of what everybody else was saying.
Right. My best friend, yes.
Best friend.
Okay.
Men don't hear.
He
heard some of it. Some of the stuff, and then kind of push it together. But yes, that's amazing. So with growing up and kind of seeing your cousin and your aunt dealing with, the autism, how do you think, is there a difference between then and now?
Definitely. Back then, I didn't feel worthy. I was like, I've always wanted to help. I was, even in elementary school, I was drawn to like the special needs kids.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I just wanted to help them.
Okay.
That was always my thing. But when we got to that point, I was like, I can't do this. Like, it takes a special person, and never looking at myself as that special person. But it happened. I started ABA therapy in Louisiana, but I ended up moving to Georgia, and I had applied to so many jobs, and nobody called me back but this one ABA company.
Okay.
So, I was like, well, go for it. And that's the company that I actually grew with. I learned a lot, from that company. And they were very supportive of me, and I learned so much, just from being there those, 3 years.
Wow, wow. So me being brand new to the ABA field now, and the funny thing is, a lot of people when I talk to some of my coworkers at work, because being in RBT, there's all this ethics stuff, so you can't
Yeah.
really talk to the parents about, if you understand their life and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
in talking to some of my coworkers, they were actually really surprised that nobody had talked to me and Tim about ABA and how important and how ABA could be a huge tool for children and families that have autism. Can you kind of just give your experience with ABA and kind of, because I try to break it down to people what ABA is, and I've heard like, girl, you be saying stuff and you need to learn. You don't know what the acronyms mean. And I'm like, well, I just got in there, and all I know is that I feel like it is going to help my children, but absolutely my 10-year-old nonverbal daughter. So can you kind of give us a little overview of what ABA is?
The applied behavior analysis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to people who don't understand, I just say it's one-on-one therapy, and that's basically what it is. It's one-on-one therapy where you are giving your whole self to this one kid for a session.
Yeah.
And they have your full-on attention. They have a specialized program that you're following and
Mm-hmm.
taking data, to track their growth.
Awesome.
Can you share with the parents why it's so important? Because a lot of people are saying certain things about it. A lot of people don't understand it.
Right.
But why is it so important for someone? And what type of people would you say should be in ABA?
Right.
I feel like I've met plenty of different. My aunt who introduced me to ABA therapy, we're much different. She's like, to me, I looked at her like she's the fun person. I'm the more like, I'm a mom,
Right.
so I don't think I'm as fun as she is. But I think just like you have, just different personalities, kids have different personalities too. And, it takes, I had one client, she was with a person that I thought was a good therapist. She was a great therapist, but she was loud. And the little girl, she just didn't work well with loud sounds. So we worked together perfectly.
Wow. Now you just stepped on my toes a little bit. I can be very loud. And so
And some kids need that.
yeah,
It just depends on the kid.
that's true. But I need to be cognizant of them as well, because my kids are used to my loud and my crazy. And when I go to work, being an RBT now, I will toot my own horn because I did pass that test. That
Yay, good job.
Listen, that test was hard, Ms. Williams.
I know some people who didn't pass it the first time. So congratulations.
Me too. And I ain't mad at them for not passing the test. That wasn't nothing but God, because when I went into that test, I was like, I don't know none of this stuff.
Yeah, the training is a little different from the test.
Absolutely. So with you saying that kind of really does put things into perspective for me, because this is a brand new journey for me with ABA, and I never really thought that I would enjoy working with kids. And when I talk to my mom sometimes on my way to work, and she's like, how do you like it or whatever? And I'm like, I really love it. And she's shocked just as much as I am that I actually enjoy working with kids.
Right.
But how do you feel like this has kind of changed your life? Or do you feel like being in the special education or special needs community has brought any type of, newness or refreshness in your life?
Definitely. I mean, everybody that knows me knows I enjoy what I do. Like, even when I was doing ABA, it's like, I can have the downest days and anything can happen. But once I go to work, and I'm spending time with my students, nothing else matters. That the joy of, being with them. And that's the one thing I can say that all ABA therapists should have is a heart to help, and that's definitely, I feel like one of my biggest qualities. But, I'm sorry, I lost what I was saying.
Look, it's very rare. I need y'all to realize we on here and this ain't no pre-tape show. We're talking real and live.
This is live.
So,
but working in this community has made me appreciate a lot of things. Like I said, two of my children, I told you guys, two of my children are on IEPs. And neither of them have autism, but we deal with different things. And some, have some, very similar qualities, to autism. So I'm like, I can only imagine, going home, and this being your life, 24/7. So like I said, you guys are the real MVPs to me, but it definitely makes me appreciate a lot about life.
Yes, appreciate you.
Well, let me ask you this. What was the one thing that because you were an ABA, so what's the one thing that got you into bringing it into the school system?
Yes.
The same little girl who didn't like the loud talking, she and I mean, I had other clients as well, but she's one that sticks out to me a lot because she has such a great story. Her teacher used to, in the classroom, of course, it's, a classroom full of kids, and she had this thing where she would just back up into a corner and they would just let her stay in that corner. And I'm like, that's not functional. And like, what are they doing in the school systems, for these kids? I'm like, aside from being a single mother of four and it being a good career change for me, I'm like, I'm taking what I have, and I'm going to help my babies, because even though I have four, they all mine,
Right.
It's like, and like I said, once, I don't know if you guys are going to ask this next, but once getting into the school system is different, it's not as easy as the one-on-one therapy, and being on both sides, I realized we all need each other. It's a village. It takes a village, and definitely with a kid, with autism, it takes parents, it takes, ABA, it takes a school teacher, it takes speech, OT, everything your child needs.
Right. Absolutely. So, I mean, as a parent, going into this, because this is our 10, no, he's 13 now. I'm still so stuck on it.
You have a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old,
and a 5-year-old.
You have to remind everyone.
I know, he does. He also has to remind me of my age every so often. I always think I'm younger
with you.
How old am I? And he's like, girl, stop playing. You are X, Y, and Z. But anyway, that's a different day, different topic. So our son is new. He's what is it? Middle school.
Middle school, yeah.
He said junior. We ain't there yet. He's 6th grade. He's in the 6th grade. Do you feel now that you are in the education system that there are some things that the parents may lack? Like, do you feel like you get the support that you need from the parents, or not to put you in any type of hot water, but because I want to know, as being a parent, I can say that. So I'm going to speak for myself as a parent, me and my husband. But I feel like since the pandemic stopped, a lot of the support has kind of digressed. I would say for myself, because they don't allow as much parent participation inside. Am I correct?
Right. You're right.
So do you feel like there are certain things we as parents can do to kind of help us kind of mesh well together?
Communication, is the best thing. I thankfully this year I have good relationships with all of my parents, and I really truly feel like each and every one of my parents that I speak to, they give me good feedback, they support me, and that's no matter what. If I say we need snacks in the classroom, we get snacks in the classroom, anything. Right. But definitely when it comes to their child's growth, I feel like everybody's interested, in their child and what their child does. And that's, that's a part of the team. That's, what every child needs, for growth is a team.
Absolutely.
True. So, what type of like, say for instance, like with the school system behind the scenes, like say for instance, not to say what are some of the pushbacks, or I mean, what do you feel like could be better? I mean, do you feel like there should be some more things implemented into the
Resources.
school system?
Mm.
Resources. That's one of the things. In ABA, we had a lot of supplies. We had every child had their own individual box, that we worked out of, and the school. Not to say that the school system doesn't provide anything; they provide a lot of stuff. But when it comes to like individualized stuff, especially if you have like a nonverbal student, it takes a lot of time, to create those material and stuff like that. But in ABA therapy, we had somebody, or when we didn't have a client, we would make those materials. But it's just more so like the resources, for me.
Okay.
That's the one thing that I can say.
Okay. So go ahead.
So what I was going to ask next was, do you believe that everyone should have, everyone that's like on the spectrum should have a form of ABA therapy, or just some select a few? What should we be looking for to show us that we need to put our child into ABA? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I feel ABA benefits early intervention, is, best. Like, started early. And I'm not going to say I can't, I don't have the authority or whatever to say that, every child needs, ABA therapy, because you can have great parents, that can, help you get to where you need to be. But I think it's beneficial. And I mean, I would suggest it to anybody who has a child that has autism. Now, I know it's much easier to be an ABA therapist in a clinic or with somebody else's child at home. I don't know if it works so that well for me, doing ABA therapy on my own children, but it works. I mean, I definitely do. I mean, honestly, okay, I do take that back, because my now 6-year-old, when she was about maybe 3, she had trouble with colors, and I panicked. I'm like, oh my God, my child doesn't know her colors. So we started doing ABA with colors, and she got it, quick. So I think it works, and I think, it helps. So like I said, I wouldn't say every child, because each child is, different, but I think it's beneficial in most situations.
So, audience, are you guys listening? Are you listening to what Christy is saying?
Yes.
She's actually I'm sorry, not physical ed, but I'm sorry.
Let me just say, hold on.
Special ed. She's a special ed teacher.
Hold on, man, because it took you at least 6 tries for us to get this flyer right. I kept saying special education teacher. Now y'all know I called him out, and he called me out. And I was like, yeah, that's great. And every time he would come back and send me, how's this flyer? I'm like, that's great, but that's not how you spell her name. So we had to respell her name like 4 times until the final time she sent it back, and I sent it to Miss Williams to make sure that the draft was great. And she said, oh, that looks great. However, I'm a special education teacher. And I'm like, Lord, this man cannot.
We got it right, though, right?
We finally got it right.
You got it right.
Special education teacher. Go.
Okay. See, I was about to lose my frame of thought. But people that are listening, she's a special education teacher, and she's on the front line. She's behind the scenes, and I can say that we're very excited about this particular show, because we don't really get a chance to see what it's like for a teacher. We don't see their ups and their downs. We don't see how it can be challenging, because they may add extra people to their class size. So all those different things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about things like that as well, because we as parents, we only have our own perspective,
right?
And we have our own little world based on our minds. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get in there. We got to support these teachers. We got to give them what we can give them in order to help our children.
And if you don't feel like, because I'm an advocate, and there's a question I have for you, Miss Williams, after I say this. For just like Miss Williams said about making sure that your child is paired up with the right ABA therapist, I'm an advocate for making sure that your child is in the correct class, because there are times in the education system they will just place your child to place your child. And if you don't really understand, and you're not a voice for your child, then they can kind of get passed through or just put wherever. And I know for us, there was a time that me and Tim had to kind of stand up against some things that was happening. And thank God it worked out in our favor. But it's very important for us, like Miss Williams said, for us to come together as parents and teachers and therapists to make sure that our children are getting everything that they need. Because it's so many times us in the community of autism, we get pushed to the side because of they're nonverbal, they don't understand. And we as our parents, we're still in denial.
It feels like they're inconvenient.
Exactly. We're still in denial. We have all of these other things that we deal with mentally. And so we just kind of, education, we kind of throw it to the back because we don't feel like it's worth fighting for. But if you can fight. Do you agree?
I agree. You are your child's biggest advocate.
Boom.
I want to say this too in the chat. We have a Felicia F66 that says that Christy loves kids and she's an amazing.
My mommy.
Hi, Mom.
They love you. They love you out there. You got some love.
Yes, I love it. If you are just tuning in to Living with the Spectrum, and if you see me on my phone, I promise I'm not ignoring her. I'm listening to everything she says. It's very important that I make sure the sound is correct. I make sure that I promote this, because this episode for us is important to us, because like we were saying, she comes on both ends. So the fact that she came in with knowledge or worked in the ABA fields and then jumped into special education was a huge asset for her. So that's two questions. This one, coming from ABA and jumping into the special education, can you explain to us which class you teach? Because the other episode we talked about different classes. Which one do you specifically teach?
MOID, or Moderate Intellectual Disabilities class. My first year I taught Autism Level 2 in Gwinnett County.
Okay. And what is, piggyback on that, sorry. So what exactly is MOID, and do you feel like coming from ABA gave you an advantage?
MOID is Moderate Intellectual Disabilities. So all of my students have a moderate form of, learning disorders. And coming from ABA, I definitely feel like it gave me, it benefited me, not only in, my classroom, but in school as well. I'm almost finished with my master's, and my last assignment, yes, my teacher was like, thank you. But she was like having that background, because there's a lot of things that I incorporate in my classroom that, now I'm learning these are positive. It makes for a positive environment in the classroom. So I'm like, yeah, I've been doing this, for a while. So I definitely feel like it benefited me.
Awesome. Now this is a little bit more for our culture. Now, if you've watched this, I do delve into our culture a little bit. I love us, okay? But I also know that we, as a Black people, we don't really understand autism. And so, I forgot the question.
Okay.
But wait, babe.
I mean, you forgot.
Okay, so but it's really all about like being African American, or whatever you want to call. There's this whole thing out now. You don't want to be Black, you want to be African American, you want to be African in America, whatever. being one of us. How do you feel? Like, do you see the disconnect? And
Definitely.
how does it? What do you think we can do?
Not just in African American cultures, other cultures, also, it's not a thing, to them. It's like, I think it's so new that a lot of people have trouble accepting it. And, I think the biggest thing that we can do is educate, a lot of, what holds us back, from understanding is understanding, like we haven't had, like I said, when my cousin was 2, we were like, what is that? When he was diagnosed, we were like, he don't have no autism. They just made that up. You know what I mean? But it's like, but he was still one of the most fun kids, you can ever meet. He's still a sweetie, but we didn't understand it at first,
Absolutely.
I was saying, and my family, they didn't understand it as well. They thought, the stemming and so on. So, oh, he needed a whooping.
That's what it is. Everybody needs a whooping.
Yeah, like
everybody don't need a whooping, y'all. It's traits of autism, but you still, we still have that even in 2022. There are some, we still have old school teachings in my house or whatever. And I ain't saying that I cheer it up like that, but there is when that comes, because I feel like if there is no discipline in the home, then there is no God. There's structure. It's no structure. Yeah. Right. So there has to be, even in learning with ABA, they do make sure there is some type of structure and a sort of discipline. And so we do that.
They call it consequence, right? Like negative or positive consequence, right?
Look, it's like negative punishment, positive punishment, all of this kind of stuff. But nonetheless, like you said, so do you feel like, okay, so I because I guess I'm so new with the ABA career, and I'm loving it. I said already, I'm actually gonna go back to school and get my BCBA. Hey. I'm so excited about it. Oh, that's what I was gonna say too. Now when I first met her or whatever, or we actually first talked, for some reason I mentioned our ABA or whatever, and she said something about she had come out of the field and was doing her at special education in teaching, and she told me she was an RBT, and I was like, wow. So at first I wasn't going to say anything to her about it, because I'm very private or whatever, which I'll see here is probably not the person y'all will see on the street. Okay. I'm very quiet. Well, no, that's not true. I'm private. So I don't show my babies a lot. And so I don't really open up myself to other people that often. But when she mentioned ABA, there was something in me that, just said to mention it to her. And so when I told her about what I was thinking about doing, she was one of the ones that was like, absolutely, you should go for it. You should do it. And I was kind of like, oh, so I appreciate you for pushing me forward. And in the back of my head, you were always like kind of telling me, you can do this, girl. Yeah, do it. So yeah. I appreciate that, because majority of the people that I've said it to, they didn't know what I was talking about. Like, it was you and Tim that really understood what I was saying. And so
that's God's direction.
Absolutely. So. And so, he's got divine appointment for everything. And I appreciate that. But like I said, I do want to go back to get my PCBA. And I am just like, I don't know, babe.
I just want to say this to you guys that are watching and viewing. A lot of times we look at, our situation as a hang up. Like we can not go further in life, and we begin to give up on our dreams and our goals. Christy just mentioned, she has 4 children. Absolutely. She has 2 that have IEPs. And she's about to get her master's. So don't give up. Keep going. Keep doing what it is that you have inside your heart to go and do. Don't look at it as a death sentence. Don't look at it as, it's just gloom and gloom, because there's going to be some great times. Mm-hmm. You're going to see your child move from glory to glory, get to different levels. Mm-hmm. And we're here just to encourage you and just to let you know to keep moving, keep doing stuff, keep, creating different, atmospheres for yourself, because if you don't, you get stuck in a rut.
So Miss Williams, or Christy, I'm sorry, I'm so used to saying Christy, can you tell me, okay, so can you give us, because I feel like a lot of these autism mommy groups and support groups, they lack some type of tool. They don't know where to start. The question is, always pose, should I put my child in ABA? Can you say I have with my child, and I know that you have given me a few tools for us, which we did implement, and I feel like it helped. Can you give us something out there for a mother or a father, because there are fathers that do raise children as well, to kind of help them move forward with ABA, or something that they can use in their everyday life that may help them?
I mean, if a person is, I guess, like thinking about not doing ABA, the thing is do you have it under control yourself? You know, if you don't need the help, then fine. But if there are things that you know, there's a lot of tools, I guess, out there to help, but each child is different. So it would, you know, depend on each individual situation. You know, that's what tool, you know, it depends on which tools you will need, you know, depending on your child. So you have to know your child, you know, and that's, you know, the beauty of, you know, working with kids one-on-one. And actually, you know, even, you know, in the school system, I know all of my students, you know, I text my parents, I'm like, you know, something's not right today. You know, I'm paying attention and it's different, you know, but so I'm very conscious and, you know, aware of when things change with them, you know, so it's just paying attention to your child and knowing your child, you know, and like I said, like I've, you know, told you guys before about certain tools, there's always, you know, you have that team, you know, if you have that team, you have, you know, people to support you and help you with resources and tools, you know, to change things. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned working at ABA was planned ignoring. I'm like, you know, I can ignore some stuff. I mean, it's harder to do at home, but
absolutely.
You know, it's certain behaviors, you know, and I think that's one of the old school teachings that we're supposed to give attention to everything, you know, and that's one of the things that I've, you know, that I've taken with me from ABA. You're not supposed to give attention to everything because it's going to reinforce and, you know, increase the behavior.
Okay. Can you give us an example of that? Like, say, for instance, you know, someone that's yelling or crying, or what has some of your experiences been with that?
Every behavior has a function. You know, you have to know the function of the behavior. And if it's for attention, if a child is yelling for attention, giving them that attention is going to increase that behavior because they're going to, you know, I just got what I wanted, you know, so let me do it again, you know, type thing. An example of that behavior is my 3-year-old likes to cry a lot because he gets what he wants, you know. So, you know, continuing to give that behavior attention has increased the behavior, you know. So that's a good example of that. But yeah, you can't always give everything attention.
That's true, and I'm learning that.
Definitely, if your child is not hurting themselves.
Yes. Right, absolutely. Go back.
I was going to ask, so is because we hear a lot from different, you know, teachers saying that sometimes the classroom sizes change, sometimes certain things change. How much of a change do you receive, like, in your environment? Is it like every day, or is it like every once in a while, or?
This year, I have not had any changes, thankfully. However, my first year, there was a lot of changes. I'll put it like that, and that it did make for the environment stressful because you know, like I said, when you're, you know, doing one-on-one therapy, it's that one child. It's just you and that child. You know, you have to manage that child. But when you're in the classroom, if you add a new student to the environment, it changes the entire environment, and you have to restructure your entire classroom because you have a new child. But this year I haven't had many changes, you know. So by the grace of God, like, you know, things have been wonderful, you know, these past 2 years.
Awesome. Go.
So what can you say about others that you've talked to? Some teachers that have been maybe disappointed, or some that have, because everybody doesn't have ABA teaching or training. But some of the discouragements that some of the teachers are facing that you can relate or relate to the audience so that people can understand, what the mind of a teacher is and what they have to deal with.
I think, one of the biggest things for a lot of us, is a lack of resources, and, some not where I am now, but, before, lack of support, lack of support in different areas, the being eliminated, from like the entire school body sometimes, but, and, feeling forgotten about, but, I know some really great teachers,
Yeah.
so, they've managed to,
Yeah.
to function very
Yeah.
well. Like I said, it's a lot of times special ed classrooms can become large,
Yeah.
the endurance, it takes a good teacher to endure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sorry, y'all. It's, I don't know what's going on. It ain't COVID. Okay.
Pollen.
The pollen is
Right.
Pollen, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sorry. Lord. So I have a question that was sent to me. So ABA techniques, can they be used in all children?
Yes. I just told you none of my children have autism, but I used it on when she was 3, my now 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like, actually when my first, training, when I did ABA therapy, I was like, I'm going home and use all of this on my children. So yes, you can. And I've actually, some of the kids that I've worked with had other disorders, not just autism.
Mm-hmm.
So it's applied behavior analysis, and it doesn't, technically say, it has, ABA is not tied to just autism. It's just beneficial in autism.
Awesome. So I'm so sorry, y'all. Let me drink a little something.
I've already drank mine, so
This stove acting up today. So, Christy, what encouraging words would you give to the audience to, just to give them feedback about, about life and a little bit of wisdom of some of the things that they could, I guess, do, or if they're in the state of not knowing this information, how can they get more information, period?
I have a lot. I guess the first thing that I would, tell parents, like yourself, keep the structure. Is you definitely need structure, but also and patience. Not just with your child, but with yourself as well. Give yourself grace. Celebrate small victories, and it can be done. I have seen so many success stories, and that was my whole motivation for getting in it. Like I told you, my best friend's child did not speak until he was 4, but by the time he started speaking, he was fluently speaking. He actually he like mastered all of his ABA programs. They kicked him out. So
wow.
They didn't kick him out, but there was nothing, he did it, but that that was also her faith. She believed when nobody else did, she believed.
Yeah.
Like I said, did I say consistency?
No.
Consistency, routines, help everybody, including adults, sometimes, but just know that it can happen. What you see today can be something totally different, than, from what you see years from now.
Absolutely.
We just heard a story on Friday about, a student that, we saw, should I say, that you would never be able to tell he was in a self-contained classroom, at some point. But those are the things that keep me going, So as parents, look for the, the positive stories just to keep you going. Like if they can, if that child can do that, my child can too. And, like I said, celebrate the small victories. So what your child can do, let your child do. I don't care if it's, putting a cup up on the table. You did that. If you weren't doing that before, you did that.
Exactly.
Positive reinforcement.
Absolutely. I am so grateful because this is the question that I did have. And coming from a parent perspective, because that's the only perspective that I can come from. How do you feel? Because I know growing up, again, when we saw self-contained classrooms or special ed classrooms or whatever, they had them pushed off to the side. I know when I was in middle school, the special education class, when we would go to the lunch, they was okay. So we came in, so they was off to the left. Is my left? Yeah, left corner in the lunchroom. So you knew that they were, special education or in special ed or whatever. And so growing up, that was always kind of like a embarrassing factor for children because people would pick on them and how kids was growing up and how they can be now. And so for me, when I became a parent of special needs children, I immediately was like, oh man, like I know how this is gonna go. And my wall went up, my defenses went on 10, and I was almost against putting my children in special ed. I mean, I really didn't have a choice. But I was angry and I was upset because I had the past of, growing up and seeing these other children. So how do you feel the separation helps the kids? Or do you feel like, is it changed? Are the kids more open now? Are they not as mean? I mean, let me know what's up.
Kids are kids. But we are very protective of our students, and we have confronted a few kids about laughing or anything else, but I say the separation, we actually don't separate them. Actually, I have a great mentor teacher, and she's like, no, they're going to be independent. And we are, we're in middle school. They are learning to be independent. So we don't really separate them. I think they somewhat do stand out. However, I feel like the school needs to be made aware of them. They need to know, like, okay, he's stemming. He's in special needs, but we're not gonna laugh. He's unique. And that's how I feel. Like we, like I said, we're the mama bears around there. We protect them, but we are teaching them to be independent. Yeah. So we're not teaching them, to, I guess they blend in. They don't know they're different. Right. Everyone else around them may know they're different, but they don't know they're different.
Absolutely, that's true. And I'm glad to know, excuse me, that separation. You guys don't do that separation because I feel like it's important for them to see, other children around them because they're not going to be separated out. You know what I mean? In the real world, there's no separation, and so I am grateful to know, like in, just the school settings, there may not be a drastic change, but there are some changes that are happening. Another question I have is, do you see, because I see a lot of stories where children go out of their way, like you said, when you were growing up, you were drawn to the special needs kids, or I like to call them the kids with the extra superpowers.
Exceptionalities.
Yes.
That's the new word.
Yes. You are drawn to them. Do you see that there are other children out there like that now still?
Yes. We have, I feel like, from the beginning, we've had students, that, stop by, tell them hello, they have friends, to be honest, they have people who come looking for them, on a daily basis. There are still good people out there, and I feel there's good in everybody, but not everybody takes the time to come and speak to them, but they do have friends that come and see them every day.
Cool.
Well, we do appreciate you stopping by.
Wait, it ain't over yet, is it? We got a few minutes. I'm sorry. So to me, no, but I ain't trying to cut you off. Now y'all know y'all say I'll be cutting him off, but I feel like I'll be trying to cut him off. But she has so much knowledge, and there are so many things that. Do you feel like there's something that we may have skipped over, or that you want to talk about to kind of give the people, or because I don't want to feel like we've talked, because y'all know I talk when I get up here. Then when I turn this off, I still talk this way. I just don't want to lose out on this, because we got it's coming from both ends. This is from ABA perspective and teacher perspective. So is there anything that you feel like we may have overlooked that you want to kind of just drop and, tell the people anything?
No, I do want to encourage people to, if you have a child, especially with autism, other stuff, ABA therapy does work for other stuff as well, but, seek ABA therapy. It's beneficial, it helps us teachers, as well. Cause like I said, we're a team, but we are more so teaching students to exist in a community, whole group, how to be independent, and stuff like that. ABA therapy is that more individualized help that we offer in school, but like I said, depending on the number of your students in your class, how much can you divide yourself, know what I mean? So we do our best. We give the best of ourselves to our students every day, but ABA therapy is a huge benefit. So is speech, so is occupational therapy. Like I said, we're all a team, and parents, parents being the key players on the team. But I feel like it takes a village. With every child, but I definitely believe it takes a village.
Absolutely. So we're actually in the process of trying to get our child in ABA therapy now. And like you said, it's a lot. There's a gap that needs to be bridged between ABA and the school system. And I think because it's, from what I can understand, it's new in Georgia, like the insurance part and all of this kind of stuff. So they're still trying to figure out how they can get into the school systems. So our goal right now is to try to do like the natural environment teaching for her, have them come into schools with her and stuff like that. How would you feel if, as a teacher now, and I know that you kind of talked about it, do you encourage ABA to come in a one-on-one with the child and say, okay, this therapist is gonna be with Johnny today because they've been dealing with some difficulties. So how do you feel as a teacher? Because I know the ABA therapist that we was talking to was like, make sure that the teacher is okay with it. And I know another teacher friend of mine, she said, and I've known this other teacher for years, she said that there is a therapist that comes in that pretty much just sits there. And I'm like, girl, she ain't doing her job. But
that's not beneficial. And maybe that person is just afraid. They don't know, what to do. But as an ABA therapist, you should. I've actually gone into daycares, with kids and done the NET teaching, the natural environment teaching. Sorry. But of course, no teacher wants you to come into their classroom taking over, none of them, so yeah, so nobody wants you to come in and, try to change the structure of their classroom. But, with me coming from that background, I would appreciate, the help, because I may not be able to give, little Timmy, what you're able to give him, because I have, 11 other students. So you can give him that, and then I can pull him back in the group and we can use that. You know what I mean? And you can prompt him or, help him, reach his goals. So, I mean, I wish it would change. Of course, I don't have that authority, but like I said, if you have people who are willing to work now, of course, you don't want a para or ABA therapist or anybody else coming to sit in your classroom, because, there's work to be done, and so if you're not going to come to work, then of course, like I said, you have to have a heart to help, to teach, to do ABA therapy, you have to have a heart for it. And if you want to, get free money, because I guess, it makes decent money, but if you're in it, but if you're in it just for the money will never be enough. So if the money will never be enough, but it is what it is.
It is. So if you are just joining, and I hope you're not because we're a whole hour in, you know what I mean? And so you've missed a lot of gems. Of course, you can go back after the broadcast and rewatch and get all of this great information Christy has just dropped on us. This is a special education teacher by way of ABA therapy. She is almost done with her master's degree. That deserves a humongous round of applause. I think we can give her one. Is that a thing? Yes, and a huge pat on the back. I think we're going to give you a clap. She is a mother of 4. I got it right this time before I gave her 6 kids. And she just understands both dynamics of being a teacher in the special education dynamic. She's also from the ABA side, and she has children of her own that do not have autism, but they have IEPs. So she kind of understands that dynamic actually on 3. Okay, let me just be real with you real quick, and I'm gonna let you go because it's what are your take? And this is as a parent. So if this question is kind of too much as being an educator, you can say but IEPs. I mean, we just had that episode. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that. I really can't stand IEPs, and it's not against nobody. Well, not everybody. Some people. Now, I will say the most recent one I had was very pleasant. And so, as you being a mother, having to deal with IEP meetings and things like that, and I'm talking to the mom side now, what is your perspective of the IEP meetings, and how do you think they're ran? Like, do you think they're like not? Because I know they're beneficial, and so I want to make sure that I'm saying this correctly. And let me say this real quick too, y'all. Ain't nobody children bothering us. So this episode is a very important one. None of our kids are bothering us. Nobody is pulling us away from the screen 4 or 5 times. No screaming, no step. I mean, listen, this is godsend. So back to my question. As a parent with children on an IEP, what is your take, and how do you feel about the meetings and stuff?
I think, I'm a teacher, but I'm a mom first. But being a teacher has, taught me a little bit more than I understood previously about IEPs. And like I said, you are your child's biggest advocate. So when you go into that room or you're on Zoom or whatever, you are a part of that team. And if they will ask you, what are your concerns? So that's your time to speak up for your child. That's your time to advocate for your child. And I dread IEP meetings just like everybody else does. But I know, and I guess not to get, too deep into off subject, but, initially I'm like, when my child, my oldest had to first go on an IEP, it was definitely, it was kind of devastating, and it's like, nothing is wrong with him, he just, he need me to sit in the classroom with him. That's what he needs, but it was, it was kind of devastating. But over the years, I guess as a parent, accepting that help, because that's initially what the IEP is supposed to do, help your child and give your child that, individualized education plan for them, which means it's for them, but also there's situations that they're, ultimately protected from, I want to say, if, if you say your child can't read, your IEP, the IEP should, give some resources and some tools, and support in that area. So your child is able to keep up and, not be held behind because they can't read, so it's protection, in some form. Like I said, I think they're kind of dreaded for everybody. Nobody really wants to sit, through this long meeting, but it has to be done, for your child, to get the help that they need. And like I said, you're always your own child's biggest advocate is, we're there at the school, but you're there at home. So there's certain things, you can always say, well, I want this added, I want this taken out, or, anything else, but it's ultimately up to the team to decide what's best for the child.
Absolutely.
And if you're just, you're just watching this for the first time, there's multiple platforms we're on. We're on Apple.
He forgot.
We're on Google Podcasts. We're on a number of different podcasts. Mm-hmm. So Deezer. There's a lot of them. I can't sit here and name
his mini commercial in the middle of actually towards the end, because he normally does it in the middle. He always tells all the different platforms we're on and blah, blah, blah. And I'm always laughing because I'm like, it's so random to me. But a lot of people, when they watch or listen, if you can't, because you ain't supposed to be driving and watching TV, you can listen to us as a regular podcast or whatever. So it's a needed entity. So yes, this is Miss Christy Williams, has given us so much great information. It has been such a blessing to sit down and talk with her. Hopefully this won't be the last time that we could have her on our podcast. How do you feel about being here? Like, how did you feel? You feel like, because I feel like you have really given some good gems. I feel like you are an amazing teacher. And so was this something that you feel like you could do again?
Now that I've gotten it done, yeah, because I like that. I told you guys, I didn't feel worthy. Like I didn't feel, I guess, qualified enough to. But I felt that way about ABA. I felt that way about being a teacher. So I just, I go where he leads me. And if you guys need me again, I'm here.
Absolutely. Well,
we appreciate that.
We appreciate you, and you are worthy. Anything that God has put your hands to do, your hands to the plow, you are worthy, because you are doing what he has chosen you to do. So right. You should never feel not worthy. And I've not known you very long, but I can see your heart. And because we've been in this for such a long time, I've seen many hearts dealing with kids. I've seen the ones that are just there for the money. I've seen the ones
that don't last long.
They don't last long. I've seen the ones that have great hearts. And I'm grateful to God because he has put a lot of different teachers in our lives that have great hearts. There have been some that haven't really had our children's interests or best interests at heart. Yeah. But there have been more that have. And so you got this, and you are doing an amazing job at whatever capacity you end up doing at the end. If you decide to say, look, I love teaching, but ABA, I'm about to blast this thing out, I know you're going to blast that out. If you decide to be a special education teacher until you turn 100, you're going to be able to do that too. So I'm grateful that you took the time out to do this for us, because you didn't have to. We're not a humongous platform. We're just here to help. And I feel like because you have the same heart to want to help the people, that, you know what I mean, we're definitely going to be having you on again.
Definitely.
Yes.
I will accept.
Awesome.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to, now just wrap it up.
Yeah. This is Living with the Spectrum, and Miss Williams was a humongous asset to today's episode. We didn't tell her. Did we say thank you?
Let's go back and say thank you.
I'm sorry. He done cut shot that quick. Look.
You're welcome.
I promise we ain't bad.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight with Living with the Spectrum. You ain't got to just cut. We can do the closeout with her there, can't we?
We can. Okay, well let's do this then. We're about to close out, and this is what I want to say to everyone that's there, that's in this particular situation. Fix my mic.
You want to hold this one?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, okay.
In this particular situation, we're looking into the camera, and we got to realize that there's a purpose for everything. Mm-hmm. Jeremiah 29:11 tells us that, God knows the plans that he has for us, plans to prosper us and not harm us, plans to give us an expected end. And we got to look at it that way. The road may seem rough at times,
But you got to look at it. Not everything's going to be easy in life, and everyone has to carry some form of a cross. I just don't want you to give up. I don't want you to think that people that are out there are not like you. But I think that we should come together and band together so that we can create better lives for our children. So that's what Living with the Spectrum is all about.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you would like to say, babe?
No, I'm grateful again to Miss Williams for stopping by. Every Sunday night at 7, we have Living with the Spectrum. We'll have, it won't be a special guest every Sunday because, baby, it's a lot. But she did a very good job, astounding. Let me put my thing down real quick and give you a real hand clap because she deserves it. Do you have any last words before we close out?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
You have any final remarks?
Any last words before we close out?
The one thing I guess I can leave you guys with is that believe for it. One of my students sang this song for me last week, and it literally had me in tears. So just as much as I'm there to help them, they help me, So, and like I said, I've been listening to the song for the past since he sang it, But just believe for it,
Awesome, believe for it. You heard it from Christy Williams. Believe for it. Don't let it go. If God said it, He gonna do it. Period. So this has been Living with the Spectrum with our beautiful, astounding special guest, Christy Williams. We thank you for watching. First of all, we should have said this in the beginning: like, share, subscribe, share all of that so that we can help the people. We still trying to get it, Miss Williams. We gonna get it though. Like, share, subscribe. Let the people know that Living with the Spectrum is out here. We're here for the people. We're not here to ask you for anything. We're here to come together as a community because we feel sometimes put to the side, forgotten. And so that's why me and Tim started this or whatever. So like us, share us, subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, and I don't know what else we got. But we out here. We love you guys.
See you next time.
Right, thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Bye, Miss Williams.
Bye, Miss Williams.
Bye-bye.